So I think the main point is we need to kind of contemplate on the absence of intrinsic, the emptiness of the time, emptiness of the arising, emptiness of the form, emptiness of the color, emptiness of the sound, emptiness, smell and taste and the textures, and then the most important emptiness of I am, emptiness of the consciousness. So the emptiness of the consciousness. So the emptiness has no difference. Emptiness of the form or color, and emptiness of consciousness. And because of the basis, if you're meditating the emptiness of the consciousness, and because of the basis, which is the consciousness, there is more effective than the meditating on the emptiness of consciousness, more effective than the meditating on the emptiness of the color. It's not because of the emptiness that's the difference, but because of the base, So, what kind of emptiness do you are meditating? So the emptiness of the mind, again, and so there's the mindfulness, full mindfulness, mindfulness of the body. So mindfulness, the phenomena, feeling, mindfulness of feeling, mindful phenomena, mindfulness of consciousness. First, meditate mindfulness of the body, and then mindfulness of the body means temba nyawar shava. Temba is mindfulness. Nyawar shava means placing your mind closer to the body, which means you just interest in the body, and then reflects on each part of the bodies. And there's the air comes in and out, and then and then the heat, then the moistures, and the solidities, and the space. And then, which means now the mindfulness, you have placing your mind very closer to each of the wind, heat, moistures, solidity, space, and then you remain with kind of, like 5 minutes or 3 minutes, just placing your mind very close to those factors. And then that will kind of, lead to thinking, oh, so this is why each of the feelings, feelings of the body, feelings from the, eye, ear, all of them are not intrinsic. And then that feeling leads to the phenomenon. Oh, so therefore the form, sound, smell, taste, textures are also not intrinsic. Now the form, sound, smell, taste is not intrinsic, and then the feeling of that is not intrinsic, and then the each of the kind of the parts of the body is also not intrinsic. They're just temporarily together. It's just the elements, particularly in one, like, my karma, and that, collecting particular elements, to bring happiness or the suffering, this area of the elements. So this whole elements is governed by my karma and my emotions. So when I die, they will just disappear within the space. It is not mine and it's not yours. So, like I said, when there's a whole space, no one owns this. But still, when you put the fence around your house, this is my space. But it's not going to be, the space is not going to be, intrinsic. It's not objective, it's yours. You just think it's mine because you put the fence there. If the fence is destroyed, and then there is no my space. Actually the space in your yard is ultimately is not really, you are not owning it, is not, it is not your before the fence and after the fence, but you think it might. So the elements, when the universal elements, you just collectively gather in one particular area, that is whole elements that run and govern by and your actions, your emotions. So there you can see my body. So when my body is each of the elements we think there's not mine and yours, but because it is particularly and kind of located and particularly the collectively the gathering and then functioning under the karma and emotionals. So there is something that you conceptually you can think my body. Therefore, I am and you are. Right. So then when you think about the consciousness, the eye conscious, the ear conscious, nose conscious, tongue conscious, each of the consciousness, the perceive, eye conscious, the perceive, the form, ear consciousness, engaged in the sound and smell and taste and the textures. So the consciousness has no function of engaging or the perceiving form, sound, smell, apart from the kind of, this moisture, the heat and space and the wind. Without them, there is no consciousness engaging and perceiving the form. Right? Without without this, the moistures, the heats, and the wind, there is no eye consciousness. So eye consciousness is not independent. It is not independently active. Active. Independent active. There is no independent arising of the eye consciousness. So there is no independent ear consciousness, independent active, independent engaging object. And the same thing, the consciousness, mental consciousness also, there is no mental consciousness. Every time the mental consciousness imagine or conceive something, the activity, being active, mental consciousness, paying attention to the object is not independent from the elements in the body. Without depending on the elements in your body, the consciousness cannot pay attention to, form or sound or smell or taste or the friend or enemy. So there's no independent active consciousness. So that absence of intrinsic existence of the mind, So just again bring your mind closer to that absence. Meditate, contemplate, single pointedly abiding in that absence. So it has more effective so more effective than the meditating on the emptiness of the color, sound, and smell.